Meanwhile, the World Bank is pushing for inclusive business to bring about a better way of life for poverty-stricken areas. The full story from Freddie Abando.
Inclusive business is emerging as a major strategy for sustainable development to address poverty all over the world.
Our focus is on identifying and promoting IB models, encourage more companies to come up with IB solutions of their own, and establish an enabling policy environment where such businesses can thrive and flourish. In doing so, we follow the lead of countries in Latin America and the OECD, as well as the G20, where concrete policy options on inclusive business are already in place. This brings us to where we are now, the high-level dialogue on inclusive business, the main platform for discussing IB at APEC 2015. This builds on prior discussions during the APEC Public-Private Dialogue on Women and the Economy last September, and the APEC Investments Experts Group Public-Private Dialogue on Inclusive Business last August.
The World Bank has championed this development goal, targeting 4.5 billion low-income people living on $8 a day. According to the World Bank's Enrico Ishikawa, they are the so-called base of the pyramid, or BOP, a $5 trillion consumer market. For the past 10 years, the International Finance Corporation has invested $11 billion to 400 companies in 90 countries with inclusive business models. So far, it has reached 90 million people. They conduct business with the base of the pyramid. They are engaged with different sectors to include agribusiness, education, health, communication, information, finance, and housing. It has benefited farmers, students, patients, utility customers, and micro borrowers.
So what do we really mean by this inclusiveness? For one thing is, I think we have to look at people in low-income communities and people who don't have access to services, not as beneficiaries of charity or philanthropy or corporate social responsibility, but full economic actors. They together are a $5 trillion market in terms of what they consume. They are the people who often provide services. They are not part of the economy officially, but in fact they are there and they are part of the whole economic growth that needs to take place.
So I feel that inclusive business, if I may try to suggest, that inclusive business is actually a mindset of a larger company reaching out to a smaller one to build their ability to share their values, to share their knowledge, and to bring them up into their own global value chain as a real partner in their ecosystem of suppliers. I say this because I think it is really important that we leave this room putting space for that mindset to be as valuable as the definition of only a business helping the poor. And I think that is a very important and laudable effort. And I also feel that the idea that it has to have a huge impact and cover many people could perhaps be something that is set as maybe the criteria for lending, for loans and lending, but it really is a mindset that could even be applied to a small company helping somebody smaller. And I think that's the part that makes me extremely excited about maybe I have a goal in my mind to change the Wikipedia definition.
The International Finance Corporation's clients for inclusive business are not limited to multinationals. It also supports large companies, medium and small-scale industries. Inclusive business has led to job generation, higher incomes, and a better way of life for poverty-stricken areas. The success of Enrico Ishikawa's advocacy led to the launch of the Inclusive Business Action Center in Berlin. She is committed to win the support of the G20 nations.
Because this is a new concept. And so we have to really go through many layers to find out exactly what policies actually help inclusive business. Having said that, the majority of the inclusive business clients we have not had any help from any kind of subsidies or anything from the government, and they are successful. So I don't think that the policy makes the inclusive business. It is more that future policy may be able to help more inclusive businesses come up. But, it's not a deterrent, but I think it's a good place to start and have a dialogue.
The inclusive business strategy has taken root and grown in the Philippines. The Ayala Group of Corporations has been cited as one of the pioneers. One of its companies, Manila Water, is a shining example of how inclusive business can work to enhance the lives of the marginalized sectors.
We challenged ourselves within our group. How can we move from our traditional small market to engage broader customer groups, empower them, and make them part of our economy and the country? And that led to a lot of thinking on the shared value concept that's led to an Ayala now across the group that touches customers at whole different price points in the past. Manila Water is a great example. It was a public utility that was bidded out by the government. We won one part of the concession, and we had to find a model to basically deliver products and services to lower income groups that traditionally our group had not touched. They've done a remarkable job, the management group there. They've pooled resources together, did communal billing at the barangay level, used members of the barangay community to lay out the pipes that then led to the kind of services that the company provided. There was an inclusive effort in bringing the community hand in hand to the economic equation.
For the People's Television Network, this is Freddie Abando reporting.